What is going on, everybody? ABJ BP Burke back on the call. Tornado tag on the ABJ podcast. Today, we're going to be covering the weekend's recent PLEs with Forbidden Door and Heatwave, the upcoming clash in Paris, the Raja Jackson and Syko Stu incident, and much more. Let's get on with the show. BP Burke, what is going on, bud?
Everything's going on.
Wow, what a week!
Lots
right?
of goings on. Yeah.
I burned out my light in the back, so I have no more fancy lights until I can get a new one and replace it. So we're going raw dog with the lighting today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as my lighting gets better, yours gets worse. So it's
just the color aspect. Yeah, but your camera looks gorgeous. It looks amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a big upgrade. I can show off the wrestling wall now.
Yeah, it looks good. But actually, as of tonight, as of this is recording, my belt maker is like 2 blocks down the street from my house, and as soon as this is done, I get my brand new title, and then I hand him your tag team title and maybe a title back there, and we get some modifications done. But let's get into this week in wrestling. The first one we're going to cover is the big one, is the one everyone's talking about, what everyone's going
literally
crazy
everyone.
for.
I think everybody in the United States, besides you and I, have weighed in on this thing.
Yeah, well, now's our chance, BP. The world has been waiting. What does ABJ and BP Burke think of what happened at what is it called? Knox
Pro, Knox
Pro,
which was no longer, as it seems, a WWE ID developmental school.
Good, because
owned by I believe the primary owner is Reno Anawai, who is also known as the Black Pearl. I believe he was the primary owner of the company, and also Rikishi is one of the trainers there.
Before we get into the incident, let's just talk about the locker room of this place. As of someone who we've been in some pro wrestling locker rooms.
Yeah.
What do you think of how it's getting?
Well, I mean, the thing with this, and this is kind of the crux of like what my limited expertise would say, you always have to be so careful when you're doing anything with a non-wrestler. And I've never been in this situation, but that goes double if that non-wrestler is like a boxer, an MMA fighter, a Muay Thai kickboxer, something like that, where if things go south, they could get ugly very quickly. But
yes,
by and large, if you're dealing with somebody who is not a wrestler, who is not with it, you really have to be very delicate. And that starts from the top. That starts from ownership, management, booking. You have to be careful.
Yeah, I did think it was very entertaining that they kept saying, we'll talk to the president about it. We'll talk to the president. If I ever went to a promotion and they said, go talk to the president, I'd be like, I'm fucking leaving. What are we doing here? So I will say this.
The president, I didn't see this, the president of the United States?
Yeah, no, they they treat their wrestling school like a fucking motorcycle club. It's wild to me. Yeah. Like
the president.
Wrestling promotions, especially ones that have schools attached to them, can be very culty sometimes.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, and that locker room definitely showed it. It also showed to me that they don't like to pay money, because some of that locker room was rough.
Yeah, but it's students usually, and you try to give your students opportunities. Like, part of the idea of a wrestling school to kind of defend the concept of a wrestling school. Part of the idea of a wrestling school is if somebody's new, if somebody's kind of still learning the ropes, if somebody's still, not quite ready to travel and learn even more, they can get their early reps in a more safe environment.
Yeah.
And so so that's part of it. Not to defend, there will be very little defending of Knox Pro in this from my end, and I think from your end as well.
Yeah.
But just in general, I think that's what's going on there. Is sometimes you do want to, give your people a shot.
I don't know the cowboy character name. That's the only guy's name.
AJ Mana. I'm gonna guess it is, or Mana. Is it? I think it's
so
Mana.
AJ. We'll just say AJ. AJ invites Raja to Raja. Is it Raja? I don't know. Raja.
I believe it's Raja, the son of Quentin Rampage Jackson.
Yeah, the son of Quentin Rampage Jackson. he invites him to the show. They train together at the gym. He's an MMA guy as well as a pro wrestler. He invites him to the show. Raja comes backstage, and once again, they're backstage. Usually, if you're backstage and if you have a camera, you're probably somewhat in the know or what's going on. I don't. I'll pose this question later, but I'll kind of go through the key events that happen here. So they're backstage. Stu and Raja get kind of in a face-to-face. Stu's, from a wrestling standpoint, I have debated this in countless TikTok lives, because I genuinely am putting myself more in spaces where I can talk to non-wrestling fans or different types of wrestling fans, so I can gauge their headspaces, so I can bring it to this podcast and try to say, hey, BP, this is what people legit think. So we're going to get into some fun ones here. But from a standpoint of knowing professional wrestling, Stu's clearly working. Stu's trying to do an angle. He's playing a bit. He's doing a character, and he takes a can, which, by the way, Mark Henry, it was a can, not a bottle. You should probably watch the footage again before you weigh in on it. That's fucking insane to me. That, like, first off, I don't know if this happened to you, but a lot of people at my job and other places know I'm the pro wrestling guy. Like, if you're in your everyday life and people know you as the pro wrestling guy, I've been approached by this story. And this is something that affects the business at every level, from fans to everybody. This is a rough story for us as a business. You know what I mean? So to not get a detail as a bottle, that's crazy to me. But anyway, go watch Mark Henry on Busted Open. I'm sure he has amazing other takes. He dropped the ball in this one. So he gets a can and he does a worker shot. He puts his hand on his head and hits him with the can. He doesn't even flinch. So you know he didn't put anything on that hit. First off, rewind. Why is there open beer before the show even starts?
Well, it's a wrestling show, so there you go.
Well, I'm just going to put that out there. There's one strike on your promotion right there, that dudes are drinking before the show. Don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah, no one
after the show, drink all you want, as long as you're not
after your match. After your match, have a beer, but stay out of everyone else's way who still has to work. If you want to have a beer or smoke or whatever you do, have your match and then stay the fuck away from everybody else and enjoy what you do after your match. No beef with that. But pre-show, before anything happens and there's open cans, not good. Not good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's true. Yeah.
So they immediately face off. I don't like that. He feels disrespected. It gets tense. Stu immediately realizes, oh shit, I fucked up. He's not a worker. He goes to apologize. No apology accepted at the moment. They keep talking. Insert Oos. He's like, Oos, we're always working. We're going to do a whole angle. You're going to come in on his match and we're going to do this whole thing. Horrible take. Because they still have not shook hands yet. And then eventually they shake hands. They agree, hey, man, I understand, two different worlds. Everything's cool. They separate. Now the camera follows Cowboy Dude and Raja. Cowboy Dude is like, hey, man, when you get in there, I want you to beat the shit. I want you to hit him. I want you to get your receipt, buddy. I want you to go in there and hit him as hard as you can, and I'll come in there and pull you off of him. Spoiler alert, that never happens.
That did not happen.
So this dude is telling his student or his training buddy at an MMA school to go in there and physically hit one of his brothers. Horrible.
Yeah.
There's no condoning that whatsoever.
Right. No, not at all. And now I know, I guess the latest on this is AJ Mana has now gone on a podcast and said he has the full footage and he's going to countersue people and
you can have the full footage. You're on audio saying go in the ring and harm him.
Right.
Now there was a little bit of translation words there where he kept saying, I want to get my get back. And he keeps saying to give him a receipt. Now in those two worlds, they're two different meanings.
Right.
Getting your receipt and getting your get back are two wildly different things in the streets and pro wrestling.
Right.
So there's a lot of terminology here that does get lost in translation. Now, the whole time this is happening, the show, I guess, goes on. They're sitting ringside, and the Kick chat, which is a different platform than YouTube where you can say and do whatever you want on that platform. Have fun, right? Freedom of speech. So this chat is trolling Raja and firing him up and saying he's a punk and saying he's a bitch and saying that he let that man hit him with a can and da da da. So he's reading the chat while the show's going on, and he's getting fired up even more.
Right, yeah.
Which doesn't help, because then he starts saying to the chat, they've agreed that I can go in the ring and do things. I don't care. I'm going to hurt this man. I don't care what the agreement is. I'm going to beat him till he's hurt. That's admitted homicide, admitted attempted murder, admitted assault, whatever it may be. That's proof, right? Like, I mean, case closed, in my opinion, right there and then.
Oh, obviously, and that what that is not is a receipt. A receipt is, okay, you caught me. You know, a receipt is like just trying to get somebody back in line, saying, okay, I owe you one, and I'm going to get my one. Not you try to work an angle with me that you and the culpability for Syko Stu is, but yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that without.
Yeah, I think there is a section of blame to go for Stu for doing what he did.
Right, but then
that blame goes out the window when he apologized and both men agreed to the apology and said, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Now, street code says, well, he's going to get his back later. No, that's pussy code. I don't care what street you're from. If I look at you in the eyes, I accept your handshake, I say we're good, and then I sneak attack you later, I'm a pussy. I'm a bitch. I'm a bitch for that. That's street code for me. I like, you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. If I take you your word as a man and say apology accepted, and then I have an opportunity to take advantage of you, that's I don't respect that whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously he goes into the ring, he shoots a single, picks him up, snaps him down, doesn't do anything pro wrestling related, because why should he? He's not a pro wrestler.
He's not a pro wrestler at all.
Yeah. And knocks him out on impact on the takedown. He's out cold.
Yeah.
There's no hands up, there's no defense, there's no nothing. And then Raja goes in to lay 22 unanswered punches before this other gentleman finally is the only one who can pull him off him. Because like they said, this looks like a student show. The referee looks like he's not capable of pulling an MMA.
This isn't Big John McCarthy refereeing this thing. This isn't Herb Dean.
The guy with the face paint has no option to go in. You know who I felt really horrible for in the camera shot? You notice the commentators? They literally stood up and they're like, their hands on their head, because they know they can't do nothing.
Yeah. What can you do?
And they're just watching a man get beaten to death in the ring. I mean, there's no way around that. Like, I don't care if you're a pro wrestling fan, an MMA fan, you know when a punch looks real and when it doesn't, and what it sounds like, and what, like, it's horrible. I feel horrible for the children in that arena that night. I feel horrible. Like, there was a camera shot of a father filming it and his kids next to him, and the kid's like, look at all the blood, Dad. Look at all the blood. Like, horrible. Like, you don't want that at all. Like, that's disgusting. And he's lucky that unfortunately there wasn't a bunch more wrestlers like the guy who broke it up and separated it, because most other locker rooms, if you would have tried to pull that shit, I'm not saying much about PPW. I'm not saying we got some hard heads or some psychopaths, but I guarantee if someone rolled into the ring and did that to somebody, there's going to be 2 ambulances needed that night. You're probably not leaving the same way you walked in.
Yeah, at that point, and there have been other instances, not as severe, obviously not anybody with the level of training that Raja Jackson has, the level of genetics, being the son of an all-time great fighter. But there have been instances where like fans get unruly or somebody jumps in the ring. It's usually handled very quickly and very efficiently, even on an indie level. But yeah, obviously this one's a little bit different, and everybody's just like standing back and going, "What the hell?" Except for, you know, the one guy, and his name is escaping me. I feel bad.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he's a hero. And the interview he did was right on the money. Like I couldn't imagine. Like I fear every time I go to a wrestling. I don't mean, it's not like it's a constant fear, but I genuinely get a little bit of anxiety every wrestling show. Like, I hope everyone leaves the same way everyone showed up today. Like, you don't want anyone to get hurt. And then on top, like, now You have a situation where a fan or an outsider goes in there and hurts one of your brothers or one of your sisters in the ring, and sends them to the hospital. They're missing teeth. They're choking on their own blood. Supposedly they had to do CPR on him to clear his throat in the ring.
I bet, yeah, I bet.
And the greatest part is, good thing we got the pin cover, right? I'm glad we covered him.
Unbelievable.
Wild.
Like we had a mishap, and I'm not, this isn't to pump up PPW or me or anything like that. We had a mishap where somebody took a shot to the nose or to the cheek or wherever, and I'm sitting backstage. I'm in Gorilla, and I'm looking, and like I see blood, and I'm like, we got to stop this thing. And I'm literally about to get up and run out, and then I realize, okay, they're going right to the finish anyway, and the end's the end, and everybody was okay, thankfully. But yeah, you're right. Like that, my biggest concern anytime I'm doing a wrestling show is I hope nobody gets hurt. That's it. And unfortunately, it does happen. Like it's happened to Joey Martinez. Just came back from a ruptured Achilles. We had a guy have a concussion at our last show. We've had a broken jaws. Even in training, like Adrian Soriano at PPW, he was our champion and tore his ACL training. Training. I don't know if it was training, like wrestling training, or like just weight training or something. But yeah, this is like the worst nightmare. It's like the mission of any wrestling show should be everybody goes home in the same physical condition they came in at. If maybe they're a little sore, maybe they're a little tired, maybe they're a little blown up, but you never want anybody to get injured, and especially from something that was so preventable, that was so insane, just like
bad. It's
attempted murder, literal attempted murder.
Yeah, here's where the wrestling world, it's crazy, and I'm not condoning anything, but this is the wrestling world. There's people who think this is a work. There's people who think this is not real. Baby
Doll has a track record of thinking it. If you're from a certain generation where it was a little more carny and a little the old guard now, and we're at a point now in 2025 where the old guard was really people who were around in the 70s and the 80s. They tend to think almost everything was a work, because back then everything was a work, because it was so insular and it was so isolated from everything, and it wasn't as open as it is now. Like there was nothing even remotely close to, even though it wasn't a full expose, there was nothing even remotely close to like that WWE Unreal show. That would have been heresy. Yeah, they would have sent somebody after you for a show like that. But so there, like a lot of those old school people are the ones who tend to think everyth's a work.
Yeah. I mean, there's fans too. There's fans who are like, they're questioning it. Like, well, this is weird, because just like he said, why do we watch a man go into a ring, shoot a double, land 22 punches, hospitalize a man, and there's no police report, there's no arrest, there's no nothing as of right now.
There's an investigation, and I would say give that time. Yeah, I would say give that time.
If this is any other world, BP.
Yeah, if it's a baseball game, the guy's carried out in handcuffs.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Or if you want to say wrestling is theater, if you go to Swan Lake and somebody comes up and suplexes one of the dancers and starts wailing on them, yeah, obviously they're going to carry that person out in cuffs.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic when it comes to that. Now, the other thing I want to pose, and I said this in a live, and people laughed at me, and people said, you're insane. That would never go down like this. I can't even believe you suggested it. And I said 3 days ago, BP, on a TikTok live, I said, there's a part of me that genuinely fears this will get buried and nothing will happen.
It's possible.
Because the wrestling business is very known for protecting the wrestling business. If this goes to court or legal system, it is not controlled in-house. And there's nothing more than pro wrestling wants to do is control everything in-house. If there's crimes that commit, and we've seen it in professional wrestling, there's crimes that are committed sometimes in this business that get swept under the rug. You don't go to the police. You don't go talk to anybody. You don't get a lawyer. That goes under the rug and no one talks about it, so you can protect the business. And then usually what happens there is bad people continue to thrive because people don't speak up.
Well, in this case, I don't know if that's happened just because there is an active investigation and certain people are speaking up. And yeah, and the promotion did try to circle the wagons, did try to say, and that is a leftover vestigial thing from wrestling being such a closed society and being that type of thing. But yeah, it's an industry.
Guy said in the chat, my dude, have you been living under a rock? The wrestling business gets exposed by the wrestling business like every day. We just said WWE Unreal is very, back in the day, that was taboo. Well, you couldn't do that. Yeah.
But let's also not pretend that WWE Unreal isn't.
Oh yeah, there's WWE Unreal is about as real as in certain aspects as Total Divas, where it's still
exactly
it's controlled.
There was a Canadian reality show called World of Hurt, and the first season Lance Storm did, and there was a bunch of his students, and basically they did like a training camp, and it was just telling the story of everybody. It's probably famous now. Taya Valkyrie was on it. Tennille Dashwood was on it.
There's a good one on Hulu that was at Evolve as well.
Yeah, but this one was I remember hearing an interview Lance Storm did talking about how contrived it was and how like what was on the show, what was presented to the public was nothing like what really happened.
Absolutely.
To the point where every episode, there was a 10-episode series, and every episode was focused on one of the people on the show. And in one of the interviews, it would end with Lance Storm doing like a sit down and like going over them, assessing them, telling them what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And in one of those sit downs with the people he was working with, he said, "You know why you haven't made it in wrestling yet?" And they took that one time he said it, and they put it in every single one of those 10. And Lance Storm had
isn't that Grapple might be, isn't that the one that Chase and Rance was on?
No, this was Canadian
I thought he showed up on a show and they did like, well, this is why you're not a good wrestler, and they like he was on like
that's every reality show about wrestling. Unless it was season 2. Season 2 had Roddy Piper, but this was a Canadian
tough enough days. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
This was a Canadian show, and no, it was this one was the only people of note that like became like mainstream names. Tom LaRufa, who was in NXT for a little bit, of Sylvester LaForte. Tennille Dashwood was on it, and Taya Valkyrie was on it.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? And you guys can answer this in the chat as well. What do you think? I could even pose this to you as someone who helps run and produce wrestling shows, and I'm backstage at shows. Where do you think, from your mind state, seeing this and learning from a mistake of this, where do you, as a promoter or as a booker, look to maybe adjust in the future going forward for your own promotion? And what do you think comes of this after all this is all said and done?
Well, I think it's common sense that if you wouldn't try to turn this into an angle, like, and
you would think.
Well, no, but yeah, no, then that's like that is like an old, again, that's like a vestigial Carney thing of, well, we can make money out of this. Like even now, I'm sure their promoters are like, you know what? When he gets all healed up, there's money in a match between these.
I guarantee people are already talking about
No, there dozens of people are thinking about that. Dozens. And
which is kind of gross, but
no, yeah, it's completely gross. Like,
yeah,
if nothing else, first of all, Rasha Jackson should be in jail. Second of all, he should never be welcome at any wrestling show ever again.
No,
and neither should AJ Mana, in my opinion.
No, I think AJ is just at fault of all this as Raja. Now, do you think Quentin Rampage Jackson has done a stint in professional wrestling? He's aware of the business. At what point in time, now, because this is hard for wrestling fans to wrap their head around, but there's wrestling fans and then there's non-wrestling fans. And I think for the most part, I would hope that most of the world knows that professional wrestling is theater, is scripted, is predetermined, is not real fighting. People are not out there trying to really hurt each other. Now, there's some times where they work a little stiff, but at the end of the day, they're still not trying to hurt one another. Do you think there's any excuse or any court of law where Raja could be like, well, I didn't know. I was told I can go in there and do this, so I
That video with AJ Mana may be his escape card, because I was told to go in, and I was told by somebody who was part of the show that I should go in there and do this. Maybe, I'm sure he can afford a very good lawyer. That's going to help his case if it does come to that. It's a very murky situation, and that's that's the insane thing about wrestling. Like because people try to put wrestling in a box. Oh, it's theater. Oh, it's sports. It's sports entertainment. It's like this. It's like that. It's its own thing. It's its own ecosystem. It's its own world, and that is, yeah, that interaction of being directed.
The only thing I think that can counter that is him saying on camera, they told me I can do this, but I don't care. I'm going off script. I'm going to hurt him for real. Like that's the only thing I can think that can cook him in this situation.
It's who knows? Like none of us are legal experts. None of us are.
But here's my other take on this. You're a trained fighter. I mean, at the end of the day, if anyone's fighting anybody, you know that when someone's knocked out and you punch them that many continuous times in the head and face, like there's got to be a cutoff point. Like I'm not even a fighter, but I know if I go out in the street and I get into a fight with somebody and I knock them down and I kick them in the face while they're down, legally, I'm in trouble. That fight is over. He is on the ground. He's not defending himself. If I run over and soccer punt kick him in the face, that's attempted murder. You know what I mean? He's out of the equation, and then you went and took another blow. I mean, that happened in our area not too long ago. Like, I don't see a world where someone looks at this and goes, yeah, he got hit with a beer can, and I think the 22 punches were justified. That's
right.
Wild to me.
Right there, and that's like it's because you can't argue self-defense. Obviously, there's a line between self-defense and vengeance, where you're not defending yourself at that point. Yeah, you're clearly not, and it's one of those tricky situations where there are a lot of variables and there are so many different parts that get into it. But I mean, it's unfortunately, and I'm not trying to make a blanket statement about people who are in combat sports by any means, but like this isn't the first incident. Like McGregor has had a lot of nothing to this level, but the closest thing I can think to this was War Machine, John Kuppenhaver, and who almost killed his girlfriend, like legitimately almost killed his girlfriend. And a lot of I'm not going to say a lot. I don't want to unfairly throw negative light on people who are into MMA or boxing or anything like that, but some of them have short fuses, and it's I would be very leery. You were asking like how would this inform like what you do is like running a thing, and again, I would be very leery to do an angle unless it was somebody who was very with it and very very into like understanding what professional wrestling is. I think it's always tough when you do like the MMA fighter angle or the boxer angle or things like that. You have to know that this person is able to do business. And my understanding is Roger Jackson wasn't there to do business. It's a thing where he was just coming as somebody's guest. Somebody's like, "Oh, I'll work an angle. That guy looks like a worker. Let's work an angle." And then it gets blown grossly out of proportion. But at some point, somebody somewhere needs to step in. And unfortunately, one person that stepped in seems like they threw gas on the fire, which is not a great look.
Yeah. And honestly, like you talk about the MMA world, I'm an MMA fan. You're an MMA fan. For the longest time, I was a Connor dude, man. I was like, man, this guy's super entertaining. This is fun. This is until honestly, for me, the dolly through the window and then the brawl in the stadium after the paper. Like I remember watching that as an MMA fan, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'll go to pro wrestling. And everyone's like, why? Like, that's like, I'm like, because like I liked mixed martial arts because it wasn't the dude bros who were out there beating each other's heads in, who looked like had no self-control or self-discipline. The best part about MMA at that for a while was like they had self-discipline. Mixed martial arts was not about just being a combat sport. It was also about self-control and saying this is done in a cage in a conducted way, and like what MMA did to go through hoops to get legalized in certain states and to prove that they're not just Neanderthals out there killing each other, that there's
human cockfighting, as John McCain called it. Human cockfighting.
And it took a huge step back, and like for how good Connor was for MMA, he was also a downfall, because then it became like, well, now I'm going to bring the streets into MMA, and it made it gross for me. And then it just continued on to stuff like this, where like a guy just enters a world and he's like, well, I'm an MMA fighter, so I'm just going to use that on the streets and use it in a pro wrestling ring. It's like, no, go away. Like, you shouldn't even be in your own industry, let alone ours. That's crazy.
Right. Well, I think he's probably done a lot of damage too. But then again, all it takes is one promoter. Not so much anymore, because a lot of times now, more so than before, and it's not perfect now.
We've seen worse get accepted back into wrestling.
But like Joey Ryan's tried a few times and it hasn't happened. The one I'm really thinking of is there was a convention in Jersey, and this was probably 15 years ago, maybe more. But there was a convention in Jersey, and they said they were bringing in Invader One. They said they're bringing in the guy that killed Brody, and there was such a backlash that they finally like backed out of it and said, no, we're not going to do that.
As they should. Yeah. Like, pro wrestling has a body under its belt in a locker room that no one got in trouble for. Right.
And a lot of that was a lot of what they're trying to do here is like that kayfabe, circle the wagons, and yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I've been so burnt out on everyone's statements. I don't know who made them or not. I just know that when the people make really bad ones. Honestly, I think Quinton's statement was pretty decent. Like, hey, listen, man, I hope this dude really pulls through. Like, my son is in the wrong for this. Like,
man. He obviously he's not going to go as scorched earth as somebody who has no relation to Raja Jacksonville. It's his son. Even if you're, and if you know, so he's going to try to find not an excuse but a kind of explanation for his actions. But
we're trying, man. We're trying, Rod fam. We'll get there eventually. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the view. But yeah,
we're talking about a news story, sir. This is big news.
This is breaking big news.
It's not breaking. It happened over the weekend.
A lot broke. People's faces, teeth. It's a horrible thing. All right. Well, let's get into more controversy in professional wrestling. I don't know much about this. I know you guys are talking about in the chat. What's going on with the union and AEW? People are mad.
It's more of a publicity stunt than anything, it seems.
You're Philly people.
Yeah, Philly's a union town. Philly's a union town. So that it tends to happen in things like this, where I guess the stagehands union, it's called Local 8. They do like stage crew stuff in Philadelphia. They had a picket line out in front of Dynamite on last night because I guess they're alleging that the stage crew at the 2300 Arena, they're concerned that they're not making. Now, the 2300 Arena is a non-union shop. Obviously, every wrestling organization in the world is a non-union shop because of that no good Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I tried to unionize.
He sold me out.
So,
sorry,
I guess
he smooched me out.
Yeah, there you go. You got to use the lingo. Yeah. So, I guess they're pointing out that they're concerned that the people who are part of the stage crew for this residency, because it's not just a one-time show here at the I'm still going to call it the ECW Arena. I apologize. Yeah, 2300 Arena, or just the arena.
The arena.
Well, it was literally
Viking Hall.
Well, yeah, no, the arena. Viking Hall. I'm not going to call it New Alhambra. I think it was literally just called the arena for a minute. Yeah. The building where ECW used to run their shows in Philadelphia. They're doing AEW's doing a residency there. They're doing, I believe, 3 weeks worth of TV. They're doing, I think, 3 Dynamites, 3 Collisions.
I love that they're going to smaller places. I think it's sick.
Yeah, and even though it's way nicer now than it ever was, that place just really does, especially for me, especially being in a situation where I was literally that was my local wrestling company.
Yeah.
ECW ran shows directly across the football field from my middle school. So that's my connection to ECW. And they're running there, but it's this long-term thing, and it's very cool, and it's special because that building just has a special energy to it. It's one of those places.
Now, when they do shows there, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I never really watched when MLW or any other promotions run there. They don't use the bleachers for those shows. Was that something they just brought back?
I believe so. Knowing how Tony Khan's sensibilities are, I think they did the bleachers because that's what ECW looked like.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, that's what ECW looked like. The hard cam was opposite bleachers, and it like I unfortunately get a chance to watch all of Dynamite last night, but it did have an obviously enhanced by infinite percentages presentation, but the bleachers, like the hard can just being a sea of people. If you watch old ECW shows from the arena, that's what it looked like. Yeah, that's what it looked like. It was not as nice. It was like you didn't see that place before they cleaned it up a little bit.
No, I've only ever been there when it's been cleaned up.
Yeah, so it's a much, like, my mind was blown with how much nicer it is now, but it still kind of has that same feeling to it, and I think that the bleachers was if I had to guess, it's a stylistic choice by Tony Khan to give the whole thing a feeling more like the old ECW shows that he grew up on. Like he was, like, I think for his senior trip, obviously Tony Khan comes from a wealthy family. That's no secret. I think instead of going to like Cabo San Lucas or Daytona Beach or wherever people like you would go for spring break, I think he went to ECW's CyberSlam.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's a big deal for him. But yeah, so anyway, back to the reason we're talking about this. The union, I think, is just protesting that they're saying there is a standard for wages for stagehands in Philadelphia, and I think they said something like $40 an hour plus benefits. I'm like, well, I want to be a stagehand in Philadelphia. That sounds great.
Yeah. Could you imagine if that was everybody would do ring crew?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a problem getting anyone to do ring crew.
Yeah, we wouldn't have two people having to set up and tear down the ring by themselves anymore.
Yeah, good stuff.
No, horrible stuff. But yeah,
the higher you get up on the card, brother, you don't have to set up rings anymore.
The people who were doing it are pretty well off on the card. Like literally, one of the people helping toward the end was our champion.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But anyway.
Any other AEW stuff. Taz will be inducted into Hall of Fame next week. Not the AEW Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted into 2300 Hall of Fame. They have their own banners on the wall that they inducted a bunch of people. Yeah. I believe when the one time I was there for a con, they inducted like the class of ECW and did like a group thing for everybody.
I believe it started with Rocco Rock after Rocco Rock passed.
Yeah,
I believe that was the first time they put a banner up, and I think they've done Todd Gordon and. I want to say Justice Payne. Usually, like they've used it a lot to honor people who have passed.
Yeah,
I believe Justice Payne they did, and there may have been a few others.
Yeah, Dynamite. I mean, I didn't watch Raw this week. Unfortunately, I apologize, everybody. I don't think BP did either. He said he didn't watch a lot of wrestling.
I forgot Raw was in the afternoon, and I hate watching things off the tape delay.
Same here.
I forgot Raw was on in the middle of the afternoon, and I have a job, so I was working when Raw was on for the most part.
We were too busy getting vagina.
I was too busy getting paid. I was getting my $40 an hour for doing stagehand work.
Yeah.
I wish. Oh, I would love it.
I thought Dynamite was fun. There were some aspects to it that I'll just kind of go over that I just, for me on AEW, just not everything's negative, right? I think for the most part, positive wise, we're into professional wrestling. We love professional wrestling. The Don Callis thing, too much. Like if you're a manager and you have 400 people in a stable, and this goes for any promotion, any level of wrestling, you shouldn't be out there more than twice a show and then be on commentary 3 of them. And it just, I don't know, as someone who like really works hard to get a spot on a show, whether it's commentary or whatever it may be, to keep losing your seat because you have to keep coming out 3 times a show to take it, like that sucks. Like fucking fuck off. You know what I mean? Like be manager and sit ringside with your team, or fucking sit in commentary one match, or pick and choose which guy you come out with. You know what I mean? Like it's just too much. And I like Don Callis. I think he's very entertaining.
He is, yeah.
Too much Don Callis.
Yeah, and it's a larger issue with AEW where like I think what I said was you need an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of who is.
How does his stable not have every title? How the Death Riders took over the company with 4 people. He has 9. How is Don Callis' family just not running through the whole company?
They needed a logistics person. I wonder who the logistics person was
wild.
in the death. It had to be like Marina Shafir or somebody. She was like the new Alexandra York. She's like, here's how we're going to take over this. Here's how we're going to take over this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's tough, especially when you have so many factions and so many groups, and it's like, okay, well, this guy's in the ops, and this guy's in the conglomeration, and this guy's in the Don Callis side. It was like, okay, well, what makes them any different from this group? It's, oh, well, they're mean, and they like, I get it, but it's one of those things where it's less is more. The one thing that pro wrestling should never be, in my opinion, is subtle. Pro wrestling is not really a good place for nuance. It is a very, very, very beat them over the head with a sledgehammer type thing. Now, you can go too far with that, like WWE does. And I get what WWE is trying to do. I get what WWE is trying to do, where it is, you can not watch for 6 weeks and come in and feel like you didn't really miss a lot, because you didn't, because that's how slow their booking is. Mm-hmm. Where if you miss one episode of Dynamite, you're like, who is this person? Where did he come from? Yeah. When did Ace Austin get here? Like, there's just in WWE, it's like there's no happy medium.
I also said during the pay-per-view too, and we'll cover this later, is like WWE's booking is like me versus you. I win, you lose, we move on, we get to the next person, and a new fight happens. AEW can literally be like me versus you, but the actual storyline is a character change in me. And that's what they're gonna go for the next storyline. Like, oh, you used to be a bad guy and do horrible things. Now this character is gonna pull a different layer of your character out, and you almost get like a reboot of who you are as a person going forward. I don't mind that. It's like very comic book story driven. Like Superman finds a new weakness, but learns how to overcome a mental block he had in himself later on. Or like Peter Parker struggled with this, but this villain taught Peter Parker to overcome his adversity. Wasn't even the fight itself. It was learning something about himself. And I think AEW leans into a lot more than they do the normal wrestling nuance storytelling. And I don't mind that. I kind of like,
and that's fine. Everybody can like what they like, but that is why AEW has trouble gaining fans. That is why AEW's highest rated show ever, and I don't think this is going to change anytime soon, was their first Dynamite. Because that stuff is all nice and well and good, but if it's too hard to follow, people will stop trying to follow it. And
I feel like they don't insult my intelligence too bad. We're WWE, I'm watching Sesame Street wrestling.
Right, and you are. No, you are. It's WWE is the McDonald's of wrestling. And to the point where one of the things that McDonald's has prided themselves on is a standard of quality. So if you go to a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, or you go to a McDonald's in California or Texas or New Mexico or Wisconsin, you're going to get the same level of service. Is it going to be the best burger you've ever had? Absolutely not. But it's going to be consistent, and you know what to expect from it. And that is what WWE has gotten really good at. They have standardized their product. And that's good because there's going to be that level of consistency, but it's bad because they've standardized their product and it's not special.
And I'm sick of eating the same burgers. I need a different burger.
Where AEW is like, I'll give a perfect example of what AEW is. AEW is like, there's a place here in the town where I live. And when their wings are good, like when you order like buffalo wings from them and they're good, they're the best wings in town by far. And then sometimes you order their wings and you order like double sauce, and there's like, they may have splashed a little bit of buffalo wing sauce on them. That's AEW. There's very little quality control. They're trying to do too much. I wish there was a middle ground. I wish there was a middle ground between WWE, which is just so repetitive and so just
but at least not having the middle ground. Like, I'm aware of that. Like, I know what you're saying about AEW is completely correct. Like, where they're sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but I feel like they're starting to level it out a little better now. But at least to me, the idea of maybe this show's a stinker and this one's good, at least I don't know what's happening. Like, I see a match happen, I'm like, okay, let's see how it plays out. Where WWE, I'm like, we're gonna get this major marquee match. I'm like, oh, I already know how that's gonna end. Like, I've eaten that burger before. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it like, I can look at WWE doesn't even put a card out anymore. They're just like, tune in, and I'm like, okay. And then I tune in. I'm like, I wasted 3 hours of my day. Like,
Although
I could have
I
watched
guess
clips.
talking about time shifting, I just read not that long ago that they are going to have a few episodes like late September and the early October where they're going to start at 7. Raw's going to be on at 7:00. They're just trying to find a sweet spot now. If they're on Netflix and they're not locked into a time slot, they're trying to find a sweet spot where Monday Night Football maybe isn't as big of an effect on them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a smart move. All right, WWE side, we'll kind of blow through some of these because we are running a little long. We went a little longer on the one, which we expected. KO surgery went well. Neck surgery went great. He got fusion. He's got to pretty much wait to find out what's going on. Still no indication if he's ever going to come back to wrestling or not. I think he will. I think there's been enough successful neck surgeries in wrestling in the past 3 years and miracle stories that we will probably see Kevin Owens again. But he lost a ton of weight. Looks great.
Yeah, no, he looks great. If my whole thing with that, if he wants to come back, I hope he's able to.
Yes.
And the great thing would be, I hope it was a success, just because quality of life. Because some, I like Drew Brees now. They say the quarterback from the New Orleans Saints, when he throws the football with his kids, he has to throw left-handed because that's how much stress he put on his arm, his right arm. So I hopefully the guy's quality of life is going to be better from this, and if he chooses to come back, that would be amazing. Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen.
If I lose Kevin and Adam Cole in 2025, this will go down as a work year for wrestling for me. You know what I mean? I will say that right now. Becky, I will also in the chat. Swerve had successful knee surgery, so that's good. That's another thing about AEW that I like, how they can take out 4 top guys and replace them with another because their roster is so deep, and it gives time to guys to go home, rest, be with their families, and they can rotate stories and top talent because they have so many to do so.
Yeah, that is true, but they don't have a guy, and I think that hurts them. They don't have, as Cody Rhodes is now taking the calling himself a QB1. Like, and it's one of those things where
I would say MJF he's a top guy there.
He's it seemed like MJF was getting there, and then they did that babyface turn on that devil angle, and I think he's going to be champion again, probably. I'm sure he will be, but I think he has been struggling to get back to where he was because the babyface turn kind of took a lot of wind out of his sail, and that devil angle was horrible, and then he had to take time off for injury. But no, he's a hell of a talent. He has all the talent to be like that centerpiece guy, but they don't have what Cody Rhodes is now, or what Roman Reigns was before that, or what John Cena was before that, or what Steve Austin was for a while, or what Hulk Hogan was, or what Bruno Sammartino was.
But if a Cody and a CM Punk go down, will the WWE fans accept a mid-carder guy to fill in and take over a main spot and be okay with it? Like, I don't think they will. I think they'll be like, I don't know. I feel like if right now a mid-card guy, Takeshita, or however you say his name, Takeshita. If tomorrow they make him a world champion, I don't think anyone's upset about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, but some of their mid card guys are could be world champions, right?
But they can't be they could be a world. You can make anybody a world champion. They could literally have. They could have Serpentico world champion. Right. No, I understand what you're saying. No offense against Serpentico. Serpentico's great. But,
love him, but
world champion. But until they put some gas behind him, and then we'll talk again. That John Cruz, though, never. Yeah. Never. Ew. But no, I think having a guy who is the face of the franchise is important because it is a
sorry. Then Anthony has me dying about that Jap. Listen, I can barely speak English. You want me to say something in Spanish or a Japanese? I'm fucked. You know what's the problem is the take a shita, like when he said take a shita, like when and that stuck in my ADHD dyslexia brain, and now I can't shake it.
But I think of that centerpiece of the company thing as almost like the closest thing I think it was like a starting quarterback in football or a goalie in hockey. They're probably the 2 most important positions in sports. Because like baseball, pitcher's important, but you need like 12 of them. You need 5 starters, a closer. But I think quarterback, goalie. If you have 2 starting quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. if you have two
I'm a
centerpieces of your
Washington fan.
company,
We've had a lot of 2 starting quarterbacks in my day.
well, you finally got one, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now there's one less defensive end in the division too, so that's fun. So I think it's the same thing. Like if you have, like, yeah, you run the risk of what happens if something happens to that guy, but okay, like, so would you not take a Jaden Daniels or a Patrick Mahomes? Because what if they get hurt? Then we're really screwed. No, you're going to invest in a backup. You're going to try to make sure the rest of your team is strong. But having that guy can really take your ball and run with it and become the face of your company and elevate you like that is a cheat code. It's like having Patrick Mahomes. It's
And don't get me wrong, WWE has some of those guys too. Like at any point in time, they could easily put the rocket on Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest.
Yeah.
There's like guys in their mid card they can easily do that.
Well, no, they're also drowning in star power right now. Like a lot of their deficiencies in their WWE especially. AEW was drowning in talent. They have a lot of talent, but I don't know how many of them are stars. Like Takeshita is incredibly talented. Hangman is incredibly talented. If you showed 100 people a picture of Cody Rhodes and said, "Who is this?" and a picture of Hangman Page and said, "Who is this?" how many more people are going to know who Cody Rhodes is?
100%. Yeah.
TKO
is the biggest media company in the world, and now they are behind pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
AEW will never compete with that media. Like, if the media is on your side, you're winning, and that's the WWE's gonna have that for forever. Like, even if the WWE has the craziest controversies, they'll still find a way to get out of it because they control the narrative and
they're also the brand name. They're also the brand name.
They're the Coca-Cola of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
All right. So Becky went to Brisbane and said some stuff about Aussie. Now I don't think she said anything. Brisbane they were in.
I thought it was in England. Was it in? I forget where.
Yeah, but Aussie's from Brisbane. And that's the city they were in. That's why they said. She goes, I would never be in Brisbane, and the best thing that ever came from this city died last month, and I would have, if I didn't go to LA, I would have died here. I don't think
you have that town right.
Am I saying it wrong? It's the same. I've been listening to this book. I hope I get
Brisbane, Australia. I know.
Birmingham. Sorry, I knew it was a B. Birmingham. That's where they were at. WWE's in Birmingham. They were in Aussie's hometown.
Whatever. Okay, it's fine.
Not Brisbane. Birmingham. Yes, they were in Birmingham, and that's what she said. That I don't think what she said was out of.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Yeah. I don't think what she said was out of line. I think that's pretty on the par for a pro wrestling heel. Like, your town sucks, and that's why your celebrity left here and never lived here again because it's a dump. Like, I don't think she was disrespectful to Aussie.
It's very boilerplate. It's very boilerplate pro wrestling heel. Like, we were just talking about MJF. Imagine the things MJF would have said. But
you're drug addict, his animal killing. He would have went hard on the Aussie stuff.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's a pro wrestling heel thing, but Ozzy was so beloved. He just died, and
which in pro wrestling is the best time to do it.
right. But again, like the rest of what we've established today, the one thing we've learned is pro wrestling is a little bit different than the rest of the world.
It is.
And now, but now WWE's in this corporate mindset. This is one of the downsides of being the McDonald's of professional wrestling is if MJF does ever come over to WWE, and he probably will at some point, you would think, maybe he won't, but he would have to tone his act down a lot because what WWE is doing is they are just going to do whatever they can to not rock the boat and not make things, and that's why for the longest time, and then they finally did it with this whole physical fitness thing because they're trying to grease the wheels of Congress to get this boxing act overturned. And that's the only reason they were they're putting Triple H and Trump all over their TV is they were trying to kiss the ring so they can have stuff happen. It's the same reason Skydance fired Stephen Colbert. It's the same reason, you do a little song and dance for this administration and you get what you want. So, but other than that, they are notoriously trying to avoid any sort of public backlash. They're trying to avoid ever alienating anybody. They're trying to be safe to the nth degree. So I think
unless you're a female talent and then they bring back Brock Lesnar, but
yeah, but that's they've never cared about exploiting their workers. Again, I tried to start a union, but it
Yeah.
didn't work out. They never care about exploiting their workers. Their workers are not important to them. The thing that's important to them is money and publicity and public relations.
Yes.
So they don't want to be like, oh, look at them. They're mocking Ozzy Osbourne like less than 2 months after he passed away and in his hometown, and look how upset they made his daughter. Whereas it's similar to like the Cracker Barrel thing. Like Cracker Barrel is going to cave because they're afraid of alienating their customers.
Yeah.
That's the downside of being a corporate entity, is you do have to answer to Joe Public at some point.
Yeah. We'll kind of go through these. The next one's really quick, and then we'll get through the card because we already at 55 minutes here today. DDP hospitalized. I think for the most part, they're saying, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's got to have a heart operation. He was working out. He said he didn't have his Apple Watch on. He wasn't checking his heart rate. It started to go a little wonky. So yeah, he had a atrial fibrillation or an irregular heartbeat.
Vince McMahon celebrated a birthday party, and a whole bunch of people went. If that's something that interests you, or it probably doesn't. If you're a WWE fan, you don't care that John Cena, Undertaker, JBL, Bruce Pritchard, Jared the King Lawler, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Titus O'Neil, The Miz, and Maurice all showed up for Vince's party.
I can't believe
still under investigation for SA trafficking and who God knows what else.
I can't believe Bruce.
He will get pardoned on, and no one will ever talk about it ever again. Yeah,
I can't believe Bruce Pritchard was there. I'm shocked. Yeah. I'm shocked.
You know.
He
probably is the one hiding half the tapes. All right. Clash in Paris is going to be this weekend, BP. Here's some matches that are going to happen. John Cena versus Logan Paul. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Jey Uso versus LA Knight, which tells me that Jey Uso was inserted in that match to take the fall. Sheamus versus Rusev. Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed.
Paul Roma.
Yeah, and Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella. And they said they may be adding a Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match to that card. So we will cover that next week.
That's way too many matches. That's way too many matches. It's 6 matches on a pay-per-view.
Are you out of control? Yeah, that's too much.
Well, meanwhile, and that's AEW's pre-show.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. And then NXT Heatwave, we had Obafemi versus Javon Evans. I actually enjoyed the match. I did not think it was going to go over as well as it did. I didn't realize that Javon Evans is as tall as he was, so it did make sense. And Oba picked him up and Spike Dudley'd him like Bam Bam Bigelow out of the ring through a commentary table, which I thought was a sick spot. I thought that was
Obafemi is a star.
Yeah,
he is a star. He's got so much charisma. He's got such a presence. He is a star.
Yeah. Who do you got for Nikki versus Becky? I think Becky retains.
Becky, unless they press a like 2% chance they press a panic button over this Kelly Osbourne thing, but I doubt it.
Yeah, Chelsea Green and Ethan Page took on Tyra May Steele and Tavon Heights. This Tyra May Steele has like the craziest lower body I've ever seen on a human being. Her legs are wildly huge. Like she is a monster.
Legit Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, first female Olympic gold medalist on there. Jada Parker versus Kiana Jordan versus Lola Vice. I thought that match was really good. I would definitely recommend that one. JC Jane versus Masha versus Ash was a pretty decent match. Ash did walk away as your new TNA Knockouts champion, which makes me think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think which makes me think that probably Masha didn't get the title because if she's not getting the title back, she's probably going to move or jump ship to WWE.
Maybe, possibly.
That's my theory.
One of the cool things with that is people were.
I'm not reading it, but that's funny. Go ahead.
One of the cool things is people were sharing after Ash won that title. People were sharing stuff from her previous life in NXT, where there's pictures like her and Becky and Alexa Bliss and Charlotte and all the people that were in NXT's women's division back then, because they all won championships up on the main roster. I think she may have had a women's tag title at one point, but I'm not sure of that.
I know when they were doing the whole angle with her and Charlotte, where Charlotte was like the mean girl to her. I thought they were going to do a whole angle where she was going to take on Charlotte, and it never happened. She just mean girled her, threw her away, and then they just forgot about the whole angle.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only real angle she had on the main roster was the love thing, the love romance thing with Reggie in the 24/7 title, and I mean,
Well,
that
it was that she did that. She was with where she looked like a Brazzers thing, where it was her with the
yeah,
secretary suit, yeah. And then the Charlotte thing. But then she was on dark matches. I remember we talked about this on the podcast a long time ago. They said she was killing it in house shows and dark matches, and people were really getting behind her. And then she got her head busted open really bad by Viking Warrior wife lady.
Oh, Sarah Logan, yeah.
Sarah Logan busted her open real bad and busted, and then that was kind of the last we really heard of her. And then she had some death in her with her partners and stuff. It was rough. Hank and Tank versus Dark State. I thought Dark State is corny. I don't like the team at all. But Hank and Tank, never seen them before till this pay-per-view. I don't watch NXT weekly, but Hank and Tank remind me of an old ECW team. They remind me of the gangsters. I used to, everyone like, they would come out with the long football jerseys or hockey jerseys.
Are you talking about Gangsters or Public Enemy?
Public Enemy. They remind me of Public Enemy.
The Gangsters are like Mustafa and New Jack. They remind
they remind me of Public Enemy. Yeah. I thought they gave me Public Enemy vibes. And then Jordan Grace versus Blake Monroe. I thought it was I think it was a good match. I don't think it was the best women's match on the card. I definitely think the best women's match on the card goes to the triple threat #1 contender match. I thought they killed it. I thought, honestly, that might be the best match on the whole show. Oba and Javon would have close second.
Also, one of the rumors coming out of NXT is that a lot of people are pushing internally for Ethan Page and Chelsea Green to do more work together because they like their chemistry with one another.
I think I'm all great.
I'm all for that. I'm big fans of both those two. They're anytime they're on my TV, I'm happy.
Give me Canadian gold right there. You know, sponsor them, Labatt Blue. All right, and then we had the Forbidden Door, 0 hour 8-man tag.
I think it's still going on. I think it's still going on actually.
Versus Paragon and I mean everything that was all right. Then we had a 0 hour trios match with our boy Speedball, Kevin Knight, and some other dude.
So hang on, I'm going to keep a tally here. The first match was an 8-man tag.
Yep. Second match was a trio.
Second match was a 6-man tag. So now we are at 2 matches, and I'm on the talk with the shirt I'm wearing right now.
Yeah,
but I'm doing my best. My PPW shirt, but I'm doing my best to trim those matches down. I promise.
Well, 8-man women's tag for the 0 hour on the other side.
So we have 2 8-person tags, so that's 16 people plus a 6-man, which gives us 6 more. That's 20. All right, so we're 3 matches and 20 people.
Yep. Which, here's the thing, I get it, but like here, I think when people get their money's worth and then people get the wrestle in front of a crowd, I don't think it's a terrible thing. But like, you don't have to watch the pre-show, but it's there. Then we had a trios championship match, so another 3-man,
26 people, 4 matches.
Then we had Kyle Fletcher versus Takahashi, which good match. I'm not a huge Takahashi fan, but I thought it was a good match.
I love her.
I'm not sold on him. He's kind of like Darby, where he just takes a beating the whole time and laughs, and he's not for me. He's better though. But then we had the IWGP Championship on defense. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Nigel McGuinness. Love that match. I thought it was great.
I'm so happy to see Nigel wrestling again. So
Zack started bleeding. Got a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Nigel is one of my favorite ROH champions of all time. I was going to a lot of Ring of Honor shows when Nigel had the belt.
Yeah. Hurt Syndicate took on FTR and Brodito and lost. Brodito, your new tag team champions. And the end of the match kind of looked screwy, like it was a botch, but I guess they went with it. It looked like the referee counted 3 and someone didn't break it up in time, or they just did a good job of selling it. But overall, I thought it was a fine match, and we're going to get looks like Hurt Syndicate's going to go after Ricochet's team, and FTR is going to go after CNC, which is a great name. Do you know what CNC stands for?
Cage and Copeland.
Our consensual non-consent, which is a whole thing in the world of like sex acts, which is pretty much simulated rape. Yeah, not interesting.
All I really know
he
is
went from rated R to CNC.
That's all I really know about.
Yeah.
All I really know about is the Music Factory. That's about it.
Then we had the TBS 4-way championship, which I thought if it's a 4-way, we're going to probably get a new champion. And I thought it would be Alex Windsor, but Mercedes Moné retains. But I will tell
Mercedes
you
must pose.
I found a new favorite wrestler in that match. I thought Persephone was really good, but Bozilla is a beast. I need Bozilla versus Sammy Chaos right now. But Bozilla, unreal. I'm a Bozilla fan. Like, thought she was incredibly charismatic and very fun to watch. Made me a fan after that match. Tag team championship match, or tag team match, Copeland and Cage versus Kip Save and Killswitch. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. It was fine. The Rainmaker, Okada versus Swerve Strickland, fantastic match. I thought that was really, really good. I really
Okada is starting to show you who Okada is a little bit.
Really good match there. Then we had the lights out steel cage match: Ospreay, Darby, Kenny, Okada, Ibushi, and Tanahashi versus Mox, Claudio, and the Young Bucks with Gabe Kidd. Fun match. It was fine. The cage, it was an interesting, different cage, because obviously you can't put that many people in a cage and not have like an outside thing.
Yeah.
So the cage took up like the whole area, which I thought was a cool idea for a cage. Honestly, I hope more cages stay that way, where it kind of just where they kind of have the outside to play with.
Back in WCW, that was called the Thunderdome cage.
Yeah, I really like that. That was,
and then WWE said, let's put a roof on that and call it Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we had Timeless Tony Storm take on the ROH Women's Champion Athena. I thought for sure this is Athena's time to beat it. Tony Storm retains.
I was very surprised.
It was a great match. Loved it so much. Then we had the World Championship, Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. And it was a good match. It was fine. I think the story, I thought the story was going to be more like Hangman overcame his thing, but he essentially cheated to win too. Like, it is. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Well, sometimes those nuanced stories, the problem is you have to be very careful for continuity's sake.
Well, once they changed the whole stipulations going into the pay-per-view, I was like, oh, he's not changing the title at any.
Yeah, I get. What's the deal now? You can cash in. We have to give like a week's notice or something.
Yeah, it has to like a week notice before you cash in.
Kind of defeats the coolest part about that whole gimmick, but okay.
I don't know if that cash in is like I don't know if I guess they did cash it in that way before. I don't know. It's weird.
They have, like, when Christian used it for the
Christian.
TNT
Yeah, totally.
But the funniest thing for that is, like, security is trying to keep Mark Briscoe from coming in. It's like, oh, now security shows up for Mark Briscoe, not when he was being doused in gasoline.
Yeah, not when he's getting lit on fire. And congratulations to him, man, another baby.
Oh, good for you, chicken.
Tons of Briscoes out there now. That'll pretty much do it for us, guys. We're gonna get into our last little segment here of talk about independent wrestling. If there's anything that we didn't cover in this week of wrestling, let us know. Maybe we'll give our takes on it real fast. Please check the links below. If you made it this far and haven't hit the thumbs up button or subscribe, please do. Putting out tons of content every week. Next Thursday, we won't be live. We will have a pre-recorded episode that we will post later. So me and P will get BP to get together. I can already tell you what the episode is because I'm getting my belt tonight. So our next week's episode that you'll see is going to be the history of the Winged Eagle. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to record and get done.
That is very much my wheelhouse. That's like 87 to 98. That is,
yeah. So that'll be a pre-recorded episort that we'll talk next week, and then the following week after we'll cover everything we missed. 2 weeks of wrestling.
We'll have to tell the Stu Hart Reggie Parks story, because Reggie Parks designed that belt, and
yeah.
Well, actually, it's more of the Owen Hart, Stu Hart, Reggie Parks story.
All right. We'll cover that. Also, links below to follow us on social media. If you want some merchandise or anything like that, it is there. We got some t-shirts for sale. I will be at Fightertainment BP. Yeah, he's missing it, unfortunately, but I'll be at Pilguru tomorrow night for Fightertainment. So come through if you're in Pottsville area and come watch us perform at Fightertainment. And then on September 13th, come out to PPW.
So one of the things we announced already tonight, and one I'm going to announce as soon as I get off of here, we did announce the seminar. Now it's official. Tony Deppen will be joining us on September 13th, speaking of Pilguru Brewing. But Tony is going to be doing a seminar for local wrestlers, anybody that wants to help learn the craft from somebody who was a very, 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 very good professional wrestler. Tony Deppen is going to be...
Do you think Tony just kind of comes to PPW, likes the locker room, and keeps coming back?
Who knows?
I hope so.
We'll have to see. But the big thing here is that Tony's going to be doing this seminar. It's only $20, which is a bargain. If I was a wrestler, I would be lapping that up. And the proceeds are going toward Jeff Cannonball and his fight with ALS, as are the proceeds for Fightertainment tomorrow.
I'll tell you this right now too, and just for someone out there, if you're in the wrestling industry or you want to get involved in the wrestling industry or anything like that, seminars are not always just for people who are in the ring working. As a
This one I think will be. Tony's, from what I understand, Tony's very hands-on with his seminars.
But I mean, even if you're a commentator or someone who does backstage interviews or just wants to understand more what's happening in the ring so you can educate yourself better to be a better person in the locker room or anything like that, even if you physically can't do seminars where you can get in there and work, go to them. I think they're very helpful for people who want to be in the business in other aspects.
Yeah, I know Worldwide Dojo, they just had a packed house for Gabe Sapolsky.
Yeah,
Gabe Sapolsky came back to Bristol, his old stomping grounds, and did a seminar for Worldwide Dojo.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. BP, anything else you want to close out with?
Yeah. So speaking of Tony Deppen, speaking of PPW, speaking of September 13th, we announced it at the show, but it was kind of up in the air. But everything is good to go. We are going to have a TV title match. Our new PPW television champion VSK defending against a former Ring of Honor TV champion, Tony Deppen. I can't wait for that match.
That's going to be a great match.
And that is going to happen on September 13th. At the Slatington Expo Center, Slatington, Pennsylvania.
I gotta see the name of the town. That one back. Yep. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Hank. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week on Tornado Tag on the ABJ podcast. Check out previous episodes. Follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms under ABJ Podcasts, and all of our stuff is on there. We do a wide variety of different topics, whether it's professional wrestling or interviews with independent wrestlers or musicians, whatever it may be, as well as horror movies, pop culture, beer reviews. We have a little bit of everything on the ABJ podcast. So make sure you check out the channel, hit subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.